You've probably seen AI influencers like these all over social media, but what if I told you you could create an army of them, each one with a unique niche, and capture multiple audiences? In this video, I'll show you the best workflow to create your own roster of AI influencers, with a full content plan and actual posts ready to go. Everything in this video happens inside Higgsfield Supercomputer. It's an AI agent built specifically for content creation workflows. It holds context across an entire session, runs specialized skills, and connects directly to Higgsfield's video and image generation pipeline. If you want to follow along, I'll leave a link to Higgsfield in the description below. Now the first step is one most people skip entirely, and it's actually the thing that makes the whole workflow hold together. Before building anything, you need a blueprint. The fastest way to understand what makes content work in a specific niche isn't to guess, but to study someone who has already figured it out. So the first thing I did was point Supercomputer at a creator with a proven distinctive style and ask it to break down exactly why their content performs the way it does. I used Alex Hormozi for this. Now I'm not making an AI copy of him, I'm just using Supercomputer to extract the underlying principles that make his content work. I'm going to run the YouTube research skill inside Supercomputer. You basically feed it a channel URL, tell it what you want to know, and it pulls channel data, the top performing content, and patterns across the whole channel. So I'll paste in this. We get back 7 sections that include the top 5 hook formats, average video structure, visual style, content topics, and at the bottom, an AI influencer style brief. That last table is what I was actually after. It doesn't just summarize Hormozi, but it pulls out a repeatable system. All of this is put together into a brief I can hand off to a completely different personality in a completely different niche. That's the blueprint. And now we have everything we need to build the actual influencer. Remember to stay in the same chat. Supercomputer already has the full Hormozi style brief in its memory from the last step. So all you need to do is tell it what kind of influencer you want to build, and it uses that blueprint as the foundation. I'll paste the full prompt and generate. In under 2 minutes, we go from a blank chat to a fully realized creator with a name, a backstory, a niche, a tone of voice, a visual aesthetic, a posting schedule, and a signature hook format. Here is my AI influencer. I'll call her Raina Vale. Her handle is @RainaVale. Her niche is personal finance for first-generation wealth builders in their 20s. People who grew up in households where money was either never talked about or always a source of stress. Her backstory is that she grew up in a bilingual household, spent her early 20s digging out of $34,000 in debt, and built a $60,000 brokerage account before she turned 27. And she figured out herself how to do so, which is the entire point of her content. All of this is extremely important because it's what makes her feel real. Without that backstory, she would just be a generic AI avatar. But with her struggles, her audience can relate to her and trust her content, which is what leads to better retention. Her tone is precise and unsentimental. Supercomputer described it as sharp older sister energy. She isn't overly excited or hypes up things for no reason, but she states a fact, redirects it into something actionable, and moves on. That exactly matches her target audience. Her visual aesthetic is also specific. She's a mid to late 20s woman, which is the ideal age because she looks like she's lived long enough to have experience, but she's also young enough to match her audience. She's also surrounded by a warm, low-light interior. Nothing too polished or studio lit, which makes her content look like she filmed it herself. Her signature hook format is something Supercomputer named the routing error. She takes a feeling, for example, anxiety about money, shame about debt, or confusion about investing, and reframes it as a mechanical problem with a mechanical solution. The problems she addresses are all very relatable, and the way she offers the solution takes the pressure of the viewer. This is the full identity card. Everything you see here is what we're briefing into the visual pipeline next, because right now Raina Vale only exists as a document. The next step is giving her a face so she actually feels like a real influencer. Without a locked face, every piece of content you generate is going to look like a different person, which is a huge problem when we want to make an influencer that's relatable and consistent. So we're switching over to the Soul 2.0 image tab inside Higgsfield. Click on Image at the top navigation bar and then select Higgsfield Soul 2.0. This is where we generate generate Reina's base portrait first. I'll paste in the prompt and generate. Here she is. She looks exactly like we described her in the previous step. Now the part that actually locks the consistency. We need 4 more shots of the exact same face from different angles. The way we do that is by switching the model to GPT image 2, then attaching the base portrait as a reference image to each angle prompt. That reference image tells the model to keep her face consistent just from a different direction. The process is identical, so I'll generate all 4 angles and show you the results. We end up with 5 shots, all from completely different angles, but she looks exactly the same in every single one. Now we take all 5 back into the supercomputer chat we've been using and run the Soul ID skill. I'll upload the pictures and paste in my prompt. Reina Vale is now a locked Soul ID character inside supercomputer. What that means in practice is that every video, every image, every piece of content we generate from this point forward uses her exact face. From here, every prompt we run, we select her from elements before we send it. And now that her face is locked, we need to figure out what she's actually going to say, which means building the content plan. Most creators end up spending hours coming up with their content plan. This workflow fixes that. We're still in the same supercomputer chat. The agent has Reina's full identity in its memory right now, so we don't need to re-explain anything. We just ask for the calendar and everything else is already there. So I'll paste in this prompt that asks for a 30-day content calendar that matches her style and generate. In around 20 seconds, we get a full 4-week calendar, 12 posts total, 3 per week, each one with a specific hook written in Reina's style. And these aren't just generic content ideas. Look at the actual hooks. Week 1 is about establishing authority, which is important to get her started. The hook of her first post uses what I call a routing error. It takes a painful, relatable feeling and immediately signals that a mechanical explanation is coming. And it's not emotional for the sake of it, but everything is precise. Week 2 shifts into myth busting. Look at her 4th post. Buying a house is not always an investment. I know that's hard to hear. It's direct, slightly confrontational, and exactly the tone we built into her identity card. This style is specifically designed to hook the viewer by first telling them something they don't want to hear, and then redirecting them to a solution. It uses reverse psychology, which is a method that always works. Week 3 is a lot more tactical. For example, post 7 goes into details on how to actually spend your money and what mistakes to avoid, which is genuinely good advice. Week 4 builds community. This is super important to connect with your audience, and after a few weeks of posting and having an established presence, it's the right time to do it. The 10th post confronts a relatable problem and redirects it into an actually smart move. This way, Reina connects with her audience in an authentic way. Every single one of these is written in the voice of the influencer we just built. The hooks match her format, the topics match her pillars, and the tone matches her identity card. All we have to do now is produce the actual videos, and that's where the whole pipeline finally comes together. We're taking the first hook from week 1 of the content calendar and turning it into an actual video. We're using the UGC flow skill with Reina's Soul ID selected from elements, so every frame of this video uses her locked face. I'll paste this and generate.
My mom worked 60-hour weeks her whole life and died with $400 in savings. I spent years trying to figure out why, and at 24, I finally understood. It was never about how hard she worked. It was about where the money went after she earned it. Nobody ever taught her the exit. That's what I'm here to fix.
That looks like a TikTok that's ready to be posted. The delivery is calm and direct, which matches the older sister vibe we've created. The lighting is also realistic. The framing looks like it was shot on a phone, and her face is exactly the same as the portraits we generated. Now let's make the second post. This one is an educational format, so it needs a slightly different energy. I'll paste in this.
There are 4 accounts everyone should have. Most people have 1. That's the whole problem. You need a checking account, a high-yield savings account, a Roth IRA, and an emergency fund. 4 accounts, 4 jobs. Most people are running everything through one and wondering why nothing is working.
She still looks exactly the same, but now in a completely different energy. That's the proof of concept right there. You're not getting a new AI character every time you generate. You're getting Reina with perfect consistency across every single piece of content she puts out. Most creators spend hours on a single video. We just produced 2 in less less than 10 minutes, from the same chat using the same locked character, and both of them are ready to upload. And the best part is that this process is fully repeatable. Every single one of these is an AI influencer with a different niche and a unique face with their own personality. And for every single one, the process is exactly the same as what you just watched. That is your army. And each one of these avatars represents a completely separate content operation. The fitness creator is not connected to the finance creator. They are independent accounts built on independent identities, each with their own locked face, their own content calendar, and their own posting schedule. From the outside, there is no way to tell they came from the same person or the same workflow. That matters for a few reasons. If you're a brand owner, this means you can run multiple niche accounts simultaneously without hiring a single creator, so you can target multiple audiences. And if you're someone who just wants to build an audience without being on camera, the same logic applies. You pick a niche you understand, you build a personality that speaks to that audience, and you let the AI be the face of it. You're the one writing the prompts, shaping the identity, approving the content, and the influencer is the product. You're the operator. The other thing worth understanding is that none of these avatars are generic. That's the whole point of the blueprint step we did at the beginning. Each one of these creators was built from a real style analysis, with specific elements. For example, the fitness creator doesn't just post generic workout content, but she stands out with her own unique style. The supercomputer's consistency is what builds an audience. People come back because they recognize the face, the tone, and the style. And none of that requires you to ever step in front of a camera. With this workflow, you can build an entire army of fully operational AI influencers from scratch. And with Higgsfield Supercomputer, the only limit is how many niches you want to be in. So if you want to start building your own roster, click the link in the description to get started with Higgsfield. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.